Good morning, or whatever it is for you. It's morning for me, and it's a big rainstorm outside. And today I'm going to talk about sex and gender. So let me go ahead and share that screen. Without further ado, we will get that on. So our objectives for this particular lecture are as follows. We're going to talk about the basal control of gonadal hormones. We'll distinguish and identify organizing and activating factors when it comes to sex hormones. And so let's first start with just the basic gonadal hormones. So gonadal hormones come from the gonads. Those are the testes or the ovaries in yellow there. You can see down in the body, in this particular body, it's ovaries, because this is a woman. And so the control of the hormones that are released from the testes or ovaries starts with the hypothalamus in the brain. The hypothalamus releases hormones that activate pituitary hormones. And when those activate pituitary hormones, that causes the gonads to then send out their own hormones, which are mainly going to be testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. So here we have the three hormones, the three main hormones, testosterone, and there are various kinds of testosterone. You know, they're all classified as androgens, like dihydrotestosterone we'll talk about. And there are various kinds of estrogens as well, like estradiol. Progesterone, however, is usually named just that. And so both sexes will have all of these. So it will be true for males and females that you have testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. Some are produced in the gonads, some are produced elsewhere as well, like in the adrenal glands. Okay, so let's identify organizing and activating effects of sex hormones. And we're going to start with the organizing effects here. Okay, so organizing versus activating effects. The organizing effects are permanent effects. They usually occur in utero with a baby or during puberty. So these are things that sex hormones do that really do change the body. For example, like making the creation of male organs or female organs, meaning either, for example, the labia or the testes or the penis or the clitoris. So creating that set of organs is going to require hormones early in life, and we'll talk about that. Activating effects are non-permanent effects. So for example, the musculature in this guy below is an activating effect of sex hormones. So if he has the androgens, he will be able to build the muscle, but if he doesn't have the androgens, that muscle will go away. So that's a non-permanent effect. And we can see effects like that with, for example, body hair and stuff like that. Okay, well, before 7 weeks, the gonads of males and females are identical. So this is 7 weeks gestation age. So this is still when you're in your mother's uterus. And every baby will have what we call Wolffian ducts and Müllerian ducts. And which one of those is going to develop is going to depend on the presence of testosterone in an amount high enough to make the Wolffian system develop. So if you have testosterone and that testosterone is in an amount that's high enough, then what will happen is the Wolffian system will develop. Doesn't matter whether you are an XX female sex or XY male sex, it will still develop if you've got the testosterone. So we both have, you know, both men and women have Wolffian and Müllerian ducts that early in life. So let's take a look of the development of the external genitalia. It's actually, although the vulva and the penis look very different from one another as adults, they actually all come from the same stuff. So you can see here that the indifferent stage is prior to 7 weeks, and then 7 to 8 weeks, we start to get that differentiation in that middle two pictures. And then by the 12th week of gestation, you've got a huge differentiation where you can see a penis versus, so basically we have this phallus. Look in the beginning, you see phallus. And eventually that becomes elongated in the male, and in the female it becomes the clitoris there. But everything has its counterpart in male and female. So the labia, for example, the external labia, you'll notice, is actually the scrotum in the male. So we do see a counterpart for every, so they look a lot different in adulthood, but they're really not that different because it all starts out to be the same thing inside the womb. Okay. Well, what happens to boys and what makes them actually become, you know, end up with a penis? Here's what happens. You have, if you're a boy, you're an XY genetic, you have an XY sex chromosomes. And it's that Y chromosome carries a gene called the SRY, or sex region Y. And it causes your testes to form. The testes are then going to release testosterone and also another form of testosterone called dihydrotestosterone. And that's testosterone converted with an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. And also, the testes are going to emit a hormone called Müllerian inhibiting hormone. It does exactly what it says it does. It's going to inhibit the Müllerian system. So we're going to get the development of the Wolffian system caused by the testosterone from the testes, which were given to us by that SRY. And then the Müllerian system is going to also degenerate. And so that's how we end up getting the male genitalia. In girls, the default genitals just sort of happen. So what happens is, without the testosterone, you don't have the Y chromosome, so you don't have the testes, so you don't have the testosterone. So we also don't have the Müllerian inhibiting hormone. So the Müllerian ducts just develop, and the Wolffian ducts just sort of die away because they need the testosterone. So here you can get a kind of schemata of the whole thing. If you're male, you have an SRY gene, your testes develop, and then you're going to get testosterone that's going to inspire the Wolffian system. Müllerian inhibiting substance will kill off the Müllerian system. If you're XX female, you don't have the SRY, so you get the development of ovaries. You don't need any hormones. The Wolffian system just dies, and the Müllerian system becomes female structures. So it's not just the genitals that are influenced early in this development. It's also the brain. And so we do see some influence on the brain from testosterone. If you don't have testosterone or much testosterone on the brain early in life, then your hypothalamus will form in a different way. And for women, our hypothalamus is on a monthly cycle. And that's what causes our ovarian cycles, which allow us to get pregnant every month. And so the early effect of not having that testosterone is that our hypothalamus starts cycling at puberty. For men, that is not true. Their hypothalamus does not cycle that way. There is an area of the hypothalamus called the sexually dimorphic nucleus. Dimorphic means two bodies, so sexually dimorphic means men and women are different. And that is about 2 to 3 times larger in men. And we think it has to do with sexual behaviors. Okay. So the things people do to rats in the name of science, if you inject a female rat with testosterone, that female rat will become masculinized. She will get, and this is happening in utero, of course, she'll get an enlarged clitoris. Her genitalia will be something in between male and female. It won't look completely female, and it also won't look completely male because still her Müllerian system is developing a little bit. And she will not get any hormonal cycling because of the effect on the hypothalamus. And interestingly enough, she does some basically gay behaviors or lesbian behaviors. What we would think about it is that she seems to be sexually attracted to other females. We don't know that, but at least she mounts other females. But you can't really say that a rat is sexually attracted to this or that like we can with humans. Okay. Now, if you do the same thing to, or the corresponding thing to the male, you inject him with estrogen. he still develops as a male. Estrogen doesn't have an effect like that. It's really the presence or absence of testosterone. Now, he can get all kinds of prostate problems from the estrogen, but it doesn't affect the male sex development. Other drugs can affect male sexual development, but they affect it by inhibiting testosterone. And if you inhibit testosterone, then you start to get a more feminized appearance in men. So alcohol and cocaine during pregnancy can do that, and even stress during pregnancy can do that. So testosterone is the maker of men versus women. If you have it, you are going to get male genitalia and male brain development. If you don't have much of it, you're going to get female genitalia, female brain development. And you can imagine that there are a lot of in-betweens here, and we'll talk about intersex people. So does estrogen do anything? A genetic female with no estrogen still develops as a normal female. However, there's probably something going on in the brain because this female does not seem to have sexual responses. So you can see the sexual response of the female here is her head up in the air and her butt up in the air, and that's a response called lordosis that we talk about in rats. A female that does not have estrogen will not produce lordosis. And so she'll never probably mate successfully or have babies successfully without that. So estrogen is doing something, we just don't really understand it very well. All right, I will continue next time.